From the beginning, twins Irish and Orish had dreams of being stars in the limelight, and coming from a musical family, the girls were determined to make those dreams a reality. In the end, one would see stardom, while the other would offer love and support from the sidelines, and that support for each other would be present throughout life's battles until the end of both of their days. Born on June 2nd, 1980 in Las Vegas, the twins were named after their grandmother, whose name was Orish, but everyone called her Irish. So their parents would honor both names, which was dope. I like that. Now the girls were 2 of 7 children, and most of the children sang. Their older sister Lamisha, born June 10th, 1978, was serious about becoming a singer, and as she got older and started perfecting her craft, the twins would be inspired and started singing themselves. And by the age of 10, they, along with Misha, would sing for a local talent scout, Adrian Mitchell, who had been looking for a girl group, and after hearing them, he decided to become their manager. He would also add another member to the group named Amelia, and the new quartet would spend the next couple of years appearing in talent shows and local events across the Las Vegas area. The girls would attend Swainston Middle School before becoming students at the Las Vegas Academy of Performing Arts by day, and at night they sang at local spots such as Caesar's Palace, a famous hotel in Las Vegas. And one particular evening in 1993, the group spotted actor/comedian Sinbad, and they went up to him and sang for him. Completely blown away with their group, now called Sweeter Than Sugar, he would get in touch with the girls' parents and even visited their home, where he would convince their parents to send the group to Atlanta for the upcoming Jack the Ripper music convention and competition for discovering new talent. Though the girls missed the deadline for the entry, Sinbad used his name to get them in. And by this time, the girls' oldest sister, Andrea, and her husband, Lavelle, had taken over as the group's managers. So they went, and the girls performed so well that they came in second place in the competition. But as the convention was winding down, they would run into Michael Bivins, a member of the popular boy band New Edition, and their spin-off Belle Biv DeVoe. And after an impromptu audition for him and much fanfare from the crowd, he agreed to work with the sisters, and would go on to sign the group to his label, Biv 10 Records, under Motown. Shortly afterwards, Mike got the bright idea to change the group's name to 702, which was the Las Vegas area code, to represent the city. The girls were ecstatic. Their dreams of singing were finally taken off. They're in this singing group with family, being managed by family, and with a nice record label. The only way from here was up.
My name is Orish and I'm from 702.
My name is Irish and I'm with 702.
And after a year of artist development, the quartet would debut on the hit single, This Little Game We Play, a duet with the R&B group Subway. And the video would feature all 4 members of 702 as well as all 4 members of Subway, and was the first single for both groups. Released in late 1994, This Little Game We Play had become a major hit by early 1995, spending 20 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 15 and number 4 on the R&B charts. By June of 95, the single had gone gold, selling over 500,000 copies. The song was everywhere, and the public were ready for more from the girls, and so they started doing radio tours here and there. But it was apparent that Misha was the breakout star. She, along with one of Subway's members, had provided most of the vocals on the previous single. But when it came time for the other girls to be put on the spot, their vocal performances were lacking. It was apparent that they had spent more time perfecting harmonization in favoring Misha's vocals than time in perfecting their own individual singing abilities. And Mike Bivins and his team didn't play about vocals. You had to bring your A game, as they were heavy hitters in a cutthroat music industry. So the executive decision was made to axe the group and build a new group around Lamisha, and in the meantime have just Misha go on tour with Subway in support of their hot single till they can find new members. And just like that, the dreams of the twins and Amelia were crushed. Hearing the harsh words and realizing how disposable they were really instilled a level of insecurity within all of the girls, who were all in their mid-teens at this point. Still, the show must go on, as neither Misha nor Andrea and Lavelle were going to let this opportunity slip out of their hands. However, Misha would fight to keep one of the twins, Irish, in the group. As she knew that her sister had the talent, she just needed the confidence to really hone in her skill. And so the higher-ups would agree to let Irish stay, but Orish and Amelia had to be shown the door. But this wouldn't dare break the bond that Irish and Orish shared. They were an extension of one another, so even if only one of them was winning, they were both winning. And as time would tell, Orish was never too far from her twin or the group whenever they needed her. Now between late 95 and early to mid 96, replacements were quickly brought in, with two new girls, Camila Williams and Tiffany Villarreal, who attended the same performing arts high school as the sisters did. They were brought in to even out the vocal field, which at this point had Misha on just about all of the vocals. However, 6 months into the process, Tiffany would depart and embark on a solo career. And before too long, Mila, who is a supreme vocalist, found herself singing most of the leads for their first albums. Both Mila and Misha would wrap up their senior year and graduate in May of 96, and immediately move to New York with Irish, who would spend her last 2 years of high school online during her time in the group. Now, the group would drop their lead single, Stilo, that featured Missy Elliott. The song had peaked at number 32 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 16 on the dance chart, and number 12 on the R&B hip-hop chart, eventually going gold. They shot 2 music videos for the song, one of which featured Orish as an extra on the set, along with other family members. From there, the group would take off, releasing their debut album, No Doubt, in October of 96, which would also go gold and reach number 1 on the US Heatseekers album chart. It produced 3 more singles and earned them a Soul Train Lady of Soul Award for Best R&B Soul Album of the Year for a duo or group. Though Misha and Mila did most of the singing on this album, the twins would still make their presence, with Irish singing lead vocals on the song Word Is Bond, and even Orish providing background vocals on the song Not Gonna. The group would go on full promo tours for the album and would reach youth audiences as their song Stilo with altered lyrics was used as the theme song to the Nickelodeon show Cousin Skeeter, and All I Want was featured on the Nickelodeon movie Good Burger, and the girls performed on all that. The group would capture attention from adult audiences by opening up for New Edition, Keith Sweat, and Blackstreet during the 96 to 97 New Edition reunion tour. The girls were on top of the world and made sure to bring back monies to the fam, moving them out from the hood and to greener pastures. As Irish and the group made their mark appearing on the soundtrack to Men in Black and made cameos in sitcoms like Sister Sister and Moesha, Orish would stay behind to finish high school, graduating class of 1998, and took up acting as it had become a new passion for her. But by the end of 98, there was some trouble in paradise for the group. Their manager Lavelle would be locked up for substance-related charges, leading to the girls firing both him and their sister Andrea as managers, and hiring singer Brandy's mother, Sonia Norwood, as their new manager. And though the girls themselves had their sisterhood, there were tensions brewing since the first album, mainly from Mila, who was the newest member coming in and being given most of the leads. As the original lead singer, Misha fought hard to get more inclusion on the first album, like on the hit song All I Want, which features vocals from everyone. But by the second album, Mila would once again be placed front and center. But before Misha could have a dog in the fight this time, she found out she was pregnant. And that's when the label execs went as far as to try to replace her, which was very devastating to her and Irish, who refused to carry on in the group without Misha. So they would keep her, but her presence would be greatly limited on this album. Meanwhile, their song Where My Girl's At would be released, and it blew up, peaking at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and going gold, being nominated for Song of the Year, which was a huge accomplishment. Yet Misha was due to have her son in the heat of all of this, and that's when it was decided that Orish would step in and take her place for many of the group's appearances and obligations. You see, even though she was Irish's twin, she favored Misha a bit more, and by now her hair was short like Misha's, so she would tour with the girls throughout late spring, early summer of 1999, while Misha was on maternity leave. And it was an amazing experience to have her twin on the road, doing shows, making appearances, photo shoots, all the things she wanted to do. The album would be released during this time, and it eventually went platinum. The group would also sign a contract with Wilhelmina Models. And I just think that's dope, man. That at the end of the day, they came back for Orish and didn't forget about her. That's what's up, man. But by the fall, Misha was back and the group released the follow-up hits, You Don't Know and Gotta Leave, which is my favorite 702 song, by the way. But neither song really saw much success, unfortunately. And even more unfortunate was the group's inability to come to an agreement on management. Following their tour, in which they opened up for Brian McKnight on his Back at One tour, Their old manager, Lavelle, was released from prison, and the girls wanted to bring him and Andrea back on as managers. But this time, Mila wanted her mother as part of the management team to kind of even out the playing field, making things fair for all parties. But Misha wasn't having that. This led to infighting amongst the members, and Mila would end up leaving 702 and would link up with another group, Total, as a replacement for Kima, one of the group's members, and even recorded a number of songs with them before deciding to fly solo, as she didn't feel right with group hopping. She didn't think it was a good look. Irish was also offered a solo deal, but turned it down out of her loyalty to the group. Her and Misha would add another member, named Cree, to the lineup, and recorded a single for the Chris Rock movie, Pootie Tang. The song failed to make any charts, but did earn them a Soul Train Lady of Soul Award nomination. However, after negotiating a separate management deal, Mila was back in the 702 fold and replaced her replacement. The group would go on to record a stellar album with productions from the Neptunes, Mike City, and Kevin Shakespeare Briggs. However, the label didn't promote the album, and its 2 singles only saw minor success. Seeing the label turn its back on the girls had them very disheartened. And once the girls discovered that Mila's separate contract that she had signed had her making double the amount that the sisters were making, the infighting flared up once again. And though Mila was unaware of just how much the other 2 were making, she had essentially become the scapegoat once again, and felt that the energy was too toxic, and thus she quit.
Issues, unresolved drama, unresolved, disagreements. Instead of agreeing to disagree, it just kind of all comes out and blows up, and it takes a toll because it gets emotional. Feelings get involved. I think that's a lot of reasons why groups break up as well. It becomes very emotional, and instead of treating it like a business and just getting that check, it's a hard thing, especially for females, I guess, because we are also emotional.
After that, the group just fell apart. Hurt and betrayed by the industry, Misha would go into a 2-year depression before Orish, who had by this point been holding down a steady job at Treasure Island Hotel and Casino in Vegas, told Misha to apply, and she put in a good word for her. Eventually, Misha would be hired on and would later become the wedding chapel manager there, which is a job she would hold for well over a decade. Irish would make an appearance in the film The Brewster Project in 2004, before she too found herself looking for work. That's when Orish would help her secure her first job in accounting, and Irish had become real skilled in that field. Stepping away from the limelight and living normal lives and spending time with their families proved to be very therapeutic for the girls. They were able to heal from the disappointment that they had all faced, even the ones who were let go in the beginning, and get back to living. Both the twins and Misha would make a musical appearance on the independent E-Sharp Presents on the song Up in the Club, and Misha would appear on Volume 2 with her solo song, What I Got. But along with the highs of being around family, also came the importance of being there in the time of need, as Orish had been fighting autoimmune hepatitis that had progressed to liver cancer that had yet to be treated. On top of all of this, she had kidney failure and was not expected to live much longer. Throughout her battle and in those last moments, Irish was right by her side. And on April 20th, 2008, Orish would pass away at the tender age of 27 years old.
Me losing my twin sister, I always say it was the hardest time of my life because I was watching the person that I was born with leave.
It was heartbreaking. I don't think our family has ever recovered.
Orish was what friends called a good person, sweet, sincere, humble, and full of life. And though not a whole lot is known to the public about her personal life, what you will find is that from friends to co-workers to classmates, anyone who spoke of Orish always spoke highly of what she did for others, which leads me to believe that she was a selfless person who lived her life in service to those she cared about. Now, Orish would be one of many faces featured in the Forever 27 Club, mostly on blogs and websites, which is basically a tragic phenomenon that refers to celebrities, mostly in music, who died at the age of 27. This coincidence adds a layer of intrigue and infamy to already tragic events. Members of the club include Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, among others. And what's even more sad is that this is one of the few places Orish would be memorialized online, as most media outlets wouldn't pick the story up since Orish wasn't one of the main 3 members of 702. And up until recently, many weren't aware of her existence, let alone her death. But we're going to show Orish some love on this channel. Even though life wasn't always kind to her, and the world may not have recognized her, she still prevailed and was there for others. And for that, I say thank you, Orish, for your contributions.
Thank you, Orish. Thank you. But yeah, we all want to say thank you. But basically, she took my place while I was out, you know, and it was a blessing to have her, you know.
Basically, when she came in, she just came in knowing that her sisters needed help. And she just came in to fill in for us.
Yeah.
Rest in eternal peace, Orish Rosalie Grinstead. Now, I can't fathom losing a sibling, let alone a twin. Yet Irish had to be strong for her son, who was born around this time. She would later state that becoming a mother is what helped her get through that time in her life. Her and Misha were definitely shaken up, and the family would reach out to Mila, who they hadn't seen or spoken to in nearly 5 years at this point, and she would fly out to come and sing at the funeral and be there for the girls in their time of need. This initially brought the group closer, and they made plans to reunite, but by now it was Mila's turn to have a child. And so those plans will be placed on the back burner for 8 more years. Fast forward to late 2016, for the 20th anniversary, the girls will meet back up and discuss plans of reuniting. And by the top of 27, Misha and Irish were doing interviews, and Mila was also doing her own solo interviews, hinting at something big.
Get our relationship back.
Okay.
And now it's more like we're sisters. We see what we're going through as mothers, her with her son, me with my son, and Misha and her 2 babies. So it's kind of like just the respect of what happened to us and like how blessed we were at such a young age. So we're reconnecting and it's like a good feeling. I'm ready.
Oh, she's saying
And in November of 2017, the girls would come together for the first time in almost 15 years at the Soul Train Awards and announce that they'd be joining other throwback acts on several tours and would drop their unsung episode the following year telling their story. Throughout all of 2018 and 2019, the group would do different tour dates, and being back on the road, you could see it in the girls' spirits that they were truly happy and enjoyed bonding with one another. And while Camila was always a singer and never left the studio life, you could tell that the years away from the spotlight did affect Irish and Misha's confidence, both vocally and with some of the dancing, with Misha in particular criticizing her own vocal talents and abilities at times. And this was most evident at the 2019 BET Honors. While doing a tribute to the group Escape, Mila was doing her typical runs, killing it as usual. However, the other two let their nervousness and lack of confidence affect their vocal performance.
Baby, they're all demands. Oh, I tried so very hard to keep our love alive, but you don't want to meet me halfway with the understanding that, and there's no way that we can work it out if we don't pull together.
And while the tribute still got a standing ovation, the feedback that they faced online was quite negative, as this was the group's official reintroduction to the music game, and their first time on an award show stage in I don't know how long. Down but not out, the pair were determined to get back out there and show the world what they were truly capable of. But then COVID hit and everything shut down. Now around this time, a pilot would get picked up for BET Presents The Encore, which was a show that gathered members of different girl groups all together to form a supergroup. And in May of 2021, Irish and Lamisha were officially announced as cast members for the show. Mila was offered a spot but turned it down, though she did make an appearance on the show. Now, it featured members of platinum-selling ensembles from the 90s and 2000s like Total, Danity Kane, 3LW, Black, and the twins Fallon and Felicia from Cherish. And right off the bat, being in a house with twins was an emotional experience for Irish, given her situation.
A lot of grieving for me to want to come back to this industry. And a lot of me hearing my twin sister in my head saying, Irish, you know you're meant to do this. For me to actually have the desire again. My twin, when she went to hospice, she looked up at me and she was like, Iris, you think I'm gonna die? And you know, the natural thing as a twin, I looked at her, I said, I don't know, but I'll go with you.
Yeah.
Though this was a very touching moment, most of the moments shown for Irish and Misha hadn't redeemed them at all. In fact, it did the opposite. The way they were shown made them appear rusty, vocally inept, and unwilling to take any criticism or make any necessary improvements. Most of the arguing and tension in the house revolved around the twins versus Misha, and sometimes Irish. But when you have 4 Geminis going at each other under one roof, it's not a pretty sight to see. The 702 sisters were heavily criticized in the house, and at one point, Misha decided she was done and quit the show, with Irish, who was as loyal as they come, following right behind her. But the response they got from viewers watching at home when the show premiered wasn't necessarily what they hoped it would be, and fans weren't happy to see them smoking either, which many people would attribute their decline in vocal performances to. It just didn't paint the girls in a good light at all. They would later do interviews explaining their disapproval with the way that they were portrayed, and the network's refusal to show the many good moments and vocal improvements that they had on the show. After this, Irish would make an appearance as Tammy in the film Tiffany the Doll, and 702 would go back on tour, as Misha explained that being in the house with all of those women only made her have more love and appreciation for her own group, and they would tour throughout much of 2022, doing what they loved and with who they loved, as they had each other. But all of the activity had taken its toll on Irish, who was already not well, and on December 15th, 2022, it was announced on the 702 Beat Instagram page that Irish would be taking a medical leave from the group to address some serious health concerns, and as the other 2 members pressed forward with their performances, Irish would spend much of 2023 in what was supposed to be a recovery, but instead her health started to deteriorate, and on September 16th, 2023, it was announced that Irish had passed away at the age of 43 after a long battle with her health complications. Misha would take to Instagram to write, "It is with great sadness that I have to let you know that my beautiful sister and friend has passed away this evening. She has had a long battle and is finally at peace. That girl was as bright as the stars. She was not only beautiful on the outside, but also within. Sharing the stage with her was a joy I will cherish for the rest of my life. We, the family, ask for prayers and respect for our privacy as we grieve an outstanding loss to our family. Love always, Misha." Now, with a few sites, and even Willie D coming out and saying that Irish died from the same complications that Orish died from, the family have not released an official cause of death just yet. But one thing we do know is that she accomplished a lot in her 43 years on this earth, and she dealt with pains that most could only imagine, losing a part of herself and having to carry on. But now she's at eternal peace with her twin. My thoughts and prayers are with her sisters and her son as they continue to grieve. Rest in peace to both Irish and Orish Grinstead.